Well, despite huge numbers of public EV chargers being installed, they're never where we need them, and there are huge gaps in their coverage. We'll find out who's got too many and who has a distinct lack of chargers. I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. Let's get started. But first, the answers to your immediate questions are 92, 48 and 6081. Any guesses? Well, there are 92 counties and shires in the UK. Most of these date back well over 1,000 years. The largest is, well, it's Yorkshire, 6,081 square miles. The smallest, well, have a guess on that one. It's actually Clackmannanshire. It's a tiny 48 square miles. Unless you live there or drive through there regularly, 99% of you will have no idea where it actually is. Well, next, checking where you live may be a bit pointless. You see, over 80% of us EV owners can and do charge at home. So while I have more than 100 ultra-rapid chargers within 30 miles of where I live in the northwest, I never use them. Well, finally, population density is far more important than just numbers of chargers. If one day everyone has an EV, you might want to end up going and living in Clackmannanshire, which has one public charger for every 300 population, while Exeter, with 80 chargers at the nearby Exeter services, has one charger for every 1,200 people, and Yorkshire, one charger for every 1,800 people. So the lottery winners, well, in pure numbers, and these are constantly changing, it's Greater London. Population 8.9 million, they have 20,000 EV chargers and climbing, some of which have multiple plugs. That's one charger per 445 population, but many more people own EVs, so it's one charger per 4 EV owners. The loser by far is Northern Ireland with one charger per 5,000 population. Seems to me you're likely to be bitten by a lettuce than find a vacant EV charger in Northern Ireland, because you hardly have any EVs over there, less than 20,000. That means in Clackmannanshire you have one charger per 66 EV owners, while you in Northern Ireland have one per 40 EV owners. Probably not that much of a consolation. Well, as we said, Yorkshire has one charge for nearly 1,800 population. Where I live in the northwest, we have an almost identical 1,800 people. But the northeast, which everyone complains most about, has one charger per 1,000 population. See, that's nearly double what I've got. Well, okay, that's a load of figures. So in reality, what's it all mean? Well, it depends on who you are, how you drive. I have many viewers who claim they've never charged at a public charger ever, and I believe them. The average EV driver covers only about 140 miles a week, 20 a day, and according to statistics does 447 trips a year. Well, the largest number of our car trips they're not for commuting, but for leisure, 23%. Shopping and commuting were about equal on 18%. Now remember, this is the number of trips, not the distance, so cars are used much more for personal use than business. And again, if someone is retired, their business mileage drops to almost zero and their total miles falls proportionately. For these, if they can charge at home, they probably never do or will use a public charger. On the other hand, for the rep on the road, in an EV, public chargers are absolutely essential and probably used daily, if not more than once a day. And for them, there is no overnight charging required. They need speed. Their cars ideally need to recharge fully during their coffee and lunch breaks. Oh, by the way, some people, claim they don't get time to charge. Well, if you don't get a proper lunch break, then your employer is breaking the law. You are entitled to a break of at least 20 minutes to be taken during the working day, not before or after. A modern EV like a Kia EV6, Ioniq 5, Porsche Taycan or Tesla long range can add between 150 and 200 miles in 20 minutes. So if you stop for your break at a suitable charger, you're done. If you don't quite get your 20 minutes, maybe go and have a quiet word with your boss. Well, there's a concentration at present in adding rapid and ultra-rapid chargers on popular busy routes, business routes like motorways, and we'll soon be at the stage where there are more than a dozen EV RUR, which is rapid and ultra-rapid chargers at every motorway services, and at some that are already in excess of 40. Exeter Services alone has 58 EV chargers. Rugby Services has 40. Well, these are ideal for business trips and drivers, but also great for road trips, say on the way down to Cornwall. We currently have more than 13,000 rapid and ultra-rapid chargers, and they have around 22,000 plugs. Well, some chargers obviously are dual bay, others have dual plugs. The government has set a target of 50,000 RUR chargers using the current subsidies and grants. In my opinion, that is far more than is needed for the road and business trips. The need is now heading back to where it should concentrate. Well, for the future, we need some future thinking. First, the ideal place to charge is always at home, plugged in overnight using cheap off-peak electricity when demand is really low. And so we ought to concentrate on getting those who don't charge at home at the moment charging. Now, for those who can't charge at home, you live in a flat, they may need to explore workplace charging. See, if your car is parked at your local hospital staff car park or in a retail park or office staff car park, there should be chargers there, and they only need to be about 3 kilowatts, nothing fancy. My car plugged into a 13 amp socket charges at the rate of about 5 miles per hour plugged in. So an 8-hour day would give me 40 miles a day, which is more than the average commute distance, twice as much. Well, also we need to be able to offer the same at every curbside. How about making each lamppost a 3 kilowatt charger to start with? No matter where you park, you should be able in reach of a lamppost. And to prevent price gouging, might I suggest a fixed monthly fee, rather like a mobile phone contract. Unlimited overnight charging for a fixed monthly fee. See, an average mileage is about 8,000 a year. On average, an EV would need only about 2,500 kilowatt hours a year. That's about 200 a month. At standard variable electricity rate of 27 pence a kilowatt hour, that fee could be £40 or £50 a month, which would work out far cheaper than the average petrol bill of over £100 a month. Well, in some places we're starting to see pull-top chargers. These are tiny chargers, probably just 3 or 7 kilowatt, located up high. Plug and cable is on a spring, so you pull it down, plug it in. No cables trailing across the pavement, probably a bit more difficult to vandalise. I've seen recently in Dundee ones that chargers that retract and expand out of the pavement. So when you're not using them, they're flush with the pavement. These are the solutions, and we need both the EV drivers and the government and also the charging networks to start thinking with a bit more imagination. We got 30 million petrol and diesel cars on the UK roads and only 8,000 petrol stations. Each has got about 10 pumps, 80,000. That's 1 pump per 375 cars. And we've learned how to use these efficiently. Very rarely get queues, sometimes do, but not often. Now, I am often told an EV takes far longer to charge than to fill a petrol tank, and it does. But more than half of all the cars will never use a public charger. They'll charge at home, and they won't use the public ones. Well, in the meantime, those of us who can should avoid the public chargers at peak times. Let's leave them free for those who have no choice when they charge. I do have a choice. I plan ahead, and I charge many times a week, often looking for the busy chargers where I can get some interesting footage for my channel. I can confirm I've never queued to charge during the last 2 years of motoring. I do regularly film people queuing to charge, but that's not me charging. In other words, we have a choice. So the situation for everyone, it is improving rapidly. There's a massive number of chargers going in, but we have to do our bit as well. We have to start using them more intelligently. Just a little thought, if you go always to the same charger and it's always busy and you always have to queue, don't. Just find another time when you can do it. And people always tell, oh, I'm a busy person, I can't find the time. Of course you can. A modern EV will charge between 150 and 200 miles in less than 20 minutes. So if you can't find 20 minutes of your life on the way to or from work, the way out at lunchtime, or just a special trip once a week, then I think that's a very sad reflection on the life that we lead these days. Now, what I would like is for people to let me know where the big black holes in the postcode lottery are. I see what I see, but I can't cover the whole country. So this is a plea to you, all the viewers. Can you let me know what the situation is like in your area? Do you have masses of them? Where I live, it's only a tiny town, it's Leyland, and we've got 15 Tesla superchargers going in at a supercharger location, and we've just had 8 V4s installed by EV on the Move. That means we've got 23 in Leyland already, brand new. Plus we've got some others, little duos here or there in Aldi car park, in Tesco car park and the like. And then just 4 miles down the road, we've got another Tesla supercharger with 16 V2 chargers there. We've got an absolute plethora of chargers right near me. And of course, I never use a single one of them. When the 15 V4 chargers opens up, that's a place called Walton Summit. That's going to be much needed because that's a fabulous route for people going up north. And it is open to all, so it doesn't matter what car you drive. So that one is much needed. Others, I think we're starting to get to a situation where we are pretty much got the right numbers that we want. Maybe some of them aren't in the right location, and maybe there aren't enough of the right chargers in the right location, but in other places there's an absolute mass of them, and they're not being used. In my travels, I often will be heading home late at night, maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and on the way home occasionally I will not have enough charge to get home, and I'll stop for what I call a splash and dash in Formula 1 terms. It's literally stop, plug in, go in, have a quick pee, pick up a coffee, back to the car, unplug it, whatever it's done, and then back on the road. The number of times I was Hilton northbound the other day, 16 chargers there. I was the only car. I met one pulling out as I got there. He was funny. So yeah, thanks very much for recognising me. We had a bit of a chat, and lovely black Model Y, and he's only just got it, so he's learning all the intricacies of charging. But most of these chargers at night, at 8 o'clock at night, is not late. They're deserted. So we may need to have a bit of a rethink about how we are using the cars, and think about it logically, because if I go to my local Tesco at a particular time and all the trolleys are gone, the car park's full and they're queuing out the doors, guess what? I don't go back there at that time ever again, because I hate queuing. And we need to start looking at this. Instead of demanding for Tesco's, look, I arrived the other day, it was absolutely full, I couldn't get a trolley, couldn't get a space in the car park, you need to build another store. What Tesco say is, we've actually got plenty of space, you just all arrive at the same time. It's the same with McDonald's, same with hairdressers, same with everything we do. We learn to spread the load out during the day or the week or the month, whatever it is. And we really, really need to do that with EV charging. So let's just, for the moment, forget about all these gaps and everything else. Let's just give a little bit of thought to our charging and try and make our lives much easier than they are at the moment. So if you are only going to charge once a week, just pick a time that suits you, when the charging installation is not going to be heaving busy. And those of you who are charging, want to remember one of my messages I give every single time. You do not have to fill your battery up to 100% every time you stop. Just like most of us didn't fill the petrol tank up right to the brim every time we stopped. Most of us, and my wife still does this, we just go out and we just put in what we need for the week, just top up 10, 20, 30 pounds worth. We don't fill the petrol tank right to the top. Why have we started doing this with EVs? All these little tips are going to help us with the postcode lottery, because if we can free up more chargers and get people using them at different times of the day when they're really not busy, in fact deserted, we can make the existing ones spread much further. Anyway, that's my little mantra for now, so thanks very much for watching. I'm Dave.